Welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden, and I'm so excited to have you here. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we will focus on a word of the day, and I interview some of the most inspirational people I know and share that inspiration with you. Join me, let's learn together on What's the Word.
This is the place where I belong.
Hello and welcome back to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden, and today I have a very special guest, someone that I had the honor and privilege of meeting recently. His name is Daniel Torunian. He's the former leader of employee technology and experiences and data centers at PayPal. He is now taking some time. This is day 2, he let me know, of his retirement, and he is taking time to focus on advisory work and to be helping out in the community. His word of the day is adversity, which is all about difficulties in our lives. So Daniel, can you please share with us, welcome to the show. Why did you choose that word and what does it mean to you?
Well, thank you, Jamie. So excited to be here with you today. I chose that word because I think there is just so much going on in the world today, both from a macroeconomic perspective. Obviously we see the conflict in Ukraine. We're seeing, our global supply chain is so much more integrated than it's ever been before. We're seeing inflation challenges. We're seeing social challenges that sometimes divide us more so than we ever been before. And we also have, the hangover of the pandemic that still lingers in many areas of around the world. And when I look to so many of my colleagues, for many of them, this is the first time that they've seen, adversity on this level, both from a socioeconomic perspective, within their families at times, within their job environment. So to me, how you prepare yourself for adversity and how you respond to adversity, I think is very, very important and somewhat of a forgotten muscle, I think, for so many of us.
I couldn't agree more with you on that. And certainly throughout the world, just to acknowledge, yes, there are so many levels of adversity all around. And in the last few years, we've all experienced something in our own lives through this. And I love that you chose that word. It's one of my favorite words. And also, I'd love to hear from you. You've done a lot in your life up until this point. You've made some big moves. You've run some big things. And can you maybe share with our audience a moment that you've experienced some sort of adversity in your own journey in this way and how you overcame that adversity?
Yeah, I think there's a cliche that, when times are good, everybody is doing well. Everybody thinks they're on top of the world. And then the real test comes when all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from underneath you. In the first maybe 2 chapters or 2/3 of my career, I enjoyed incredible success. I didn't go 12 or 18 months without there being a promotion or some kind of stretch assignment or some kind of recognition. And I think you get conditioned that it's always going to be that way. I found myself taking on a very senior role for a company in New York, but then also at the same time finding out that my father was ill and that my mother also was showing signs of being ill. So I think for me, the important thing as the eldest son in an Armenian family was to come home and to be supportive of my parents and to do whatever I could to support them. But at the same time, I made the emotional decision to make that move without having a job in hand. So as I was spending time with my parents, watching them kind of go through their struggles, I found myself also going through my own struggle of now 18 months of unemployment. The roles that I thought I should be competing for were not available to me. The absence of a college degree all of a sudden now at the age of 42, 43 was becoming an issue. Our personal finances were becoming an issue. And so I found myself eventually losing my parents, almost going fully broke, and then taking a much, much lesser role at another company out of just sheer desperation. But what came out of that was it forced me to reinvent myself. It forced me to learn a whole new set of skills. And it also forced me to recognize that someone shared with me, there's a lot more to a person than the title on their business card. And I think that
Wow.
helped inspire me to start the next chapter of my career.
Wow. And thank you for very much for sharing that. That really resonated with me and I'm sure with our audience as well, because sometimes, I notice sometimes I can even get caught up in this as we're building our business, as we're building our life, right? You may look at someone in someone else's shoes and go, wow, what is that like? Right. Like I know some people look at me and they go, wow, you must have always been this healthy, person. I'm like, no, 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 no. If you only knew the crap that I went through to get to this point, would the struggles, the mess, right? The message and those messes that we go through in our life are really imperative of making those choices into what we do. So I'd love to know from you, who in your life had the biggest impact on your success and pulling through? Like, was there someone in your life? Obviously, you made those choices, but is there, I know you said your parents, that was a big impact, but who would you say is someone that really impacted the choices that you were making?
No, I think it always starts with your parents. At least for me, growing up in an Armenian family, education was very important. Hard work, ethic was very important. As you can imagine, I got a lot of lectures growing up for not maybe being the most academically minded person in the world. So first and foremost, my parents. I think secondly, I am married to a wonderful woman who I think you got to meet a few weeks
Yes,
back.
she's lovely.
It's just the rock of Gibraltar. You couldn't ask for someone who could be more steady, more consistent, unfazed by anything that just happens around her. So clearly, that would be number two. Uh, I've been very lucky through the course of my professional career to have met some very, very capable, skilled, empathetic leaders who have taken the time to invest in me. And I think that's why it's so important for me in this latter stages of my career to now, how do I invest and help others grow?
Wow. And that's incredible. And when you and I met, kicking our butts in that workout a few weeks back at our friend's birthday, it was, you radiated a very special energy that I'm constantly drawn to in my life. And it's immediately, you and I talked about the organization that you're working with. And I'd love, to talk about that with you a little bit right now, because clearly I know that's something that you right away were very passionate about. So can you share with the audience kind of what you're working on right now?
Yes. So I'm the president of a local charity called Passion for the Lost. And our focus is reaching out to inmates in this local San Mateo County correctional system, connecting with them, whether it be faith based, helping them with addiction, things of that nature. And as you create that connection with them, working with them to be able to be released from the system. And then as they're released from the system, how do we help them become functional, productive members of the local community? And, you said something at the outset of, touching one person at a time. This is truly one of those things. We're not operating at scale. So just making a difference in one person's life at a time, I think for us is just a huge thing to do. And so important for when you see the transformation for these individuals coming out of the system and really starting to take on a whole new life.
Absolutely. And thank you for doing that work. It's really incredible. And it's starting a movement in ways that obviously we need that. There's a lot of adversity going on, and there's a lot of, broken things within our systems in many ways. And to be able to just take those steps to make some change is really impactful. So can you let us know, where can we find this nonprofit? What is the name? Like, where can we find it, or how can we help?
Yeah, no, passionforthelost.org. We are currently looking for some new board members. We've had a few board members resign due to COVID and other things that have happened over the last few years. And we also find ourselves at this interesting transition of, we are very much an in-person, face-to-face type of connection. Now we find ourselves, given the dynamic of the pandemic and also the virtual platforms that are now available to us, thinking about how do we reinvent ourselves in more of a virtual format. So if anyone would like to volunteer, if they'd like to donate, please visit the website. I'll make sure, Jamie, you have my contact information. We're happy to connect with anybody, because every little bit makes a difference. Sometimes we get caught up on these big issues, and I'm not saying that the big issues aren't important, but doing the little things is sometimes what really matters the most.
Absolutely, 100%. And I'm raising my hand here for those that are listening or watching right now. I'm raising my hand because I certainly want to be involved as much as I can. So you and I are going to be, talking about this off of this as well, because what you're doing, it's something that I'm very passionate about myself. And I'm just really thankful for people like you in the world who are not only making a difference in their office and in their home, but also taking it out into the community and step by step making these changes. So with that, I would love to know, what do you do? Because I work in self care. So I always love to hear from all of my interviews. What do you do to take care of yourself? Because you've been very busy. You manage a lot of people. You're running a nonprofit, all these different things going on. What do you do for you?
Uh, well, I think the premise of us meeting, Jamie, was a bit about fitness. So fitness has always been an important part of my life. It's a big part of Lynn's life. So getting in some form of run every day, a boxing workout, a weight workout, some combination thereof is really important to just keeping my mind and my body well connected. You know, I know, Jamie, you do yoga. For me, running is my yoga. That's where my mind can be very clear. I can start to think through things that maybe otherwise I would be emotionally biased or reactive, and that's my time to kind of hit the reset button. Uh, Secondly, I mean, I like spending time with Lynn, and I like spending time with our two dogs. I think feeling that family connection and feeling centered that way allows you to go enter other discussions that maybe are more stressful, but from a very grounded perspective. So I'm a big believer in, you have to keep your mind and your body well connected, and you got to keep them right.
100%. Couldn't agree with you more on that. And I love that there's not just a one size fits all. That's what I want anyone listening to realize and recognize. And now, as we talk about adversity, many of my listeners, and we've collected the data here, write in and say, I'm really struggling in my life. I either just, lost my job. I'm experiencing going through a divorce. I have, depression, anxiety, all these different things. And so I like to personally kind of address these with whomever I'm interviewing. So you chose the word adversity. Obviously, that's a big word that many people may be feeling right now as they're listening to this. What words of wisdom can you offer to somebody, or some tangible action steps that someone is currently going through adversity right now? What can you tell them that you've learned?
You can't run from adversity. Adversity is going to find you. So the fact that we think that we're going to live in these Shangri-La worlds, it's just not the case. So I think just accepting the fact that adversity is going to come, asking yourself, how do I want to respond to that adversity? How do I want to turn that into an opportunity? And where do I see myself on the other side of whatever this challenge may be? It could be a medical situation, it could be relationship issues, could be work issues, whatever the case may be. Picture yourself on the other side and start building that plan as to, how do I get to that other side? I feel like I see so many people kind of fall into that maybe victim role, or something is happening to them, as opposed to, yes, this is happening. I can't control it, but I can definitely control how I respond. And I can control where I want to be after this adversity comes and goes. So I would just challenge people, like, embrace it, look for the opportunity, and start to think about, where do you want to be once you're done with this, with getting through this particular challenge? Because then there's going to be another challenge that will pop up at some point in time.
Love that. And that's such wonderful advice that I'm sure people can just take that with them today and feel inspired by you. Because you also, and I want to go back to this, you had mentioned something about, at 42, you hadn't been to college, or you hadn't graduated from college. Is that true?
That's right. I don't have a college degree.
Okay. So, and I only bring this up, and I think it's really important to talk about this as well, because oftentimes when I'm interacting with people, and they're saying to me, well, I don't, they're having this kind of negativity bias of, I don't know if I can do this because I haven't done that. Right. And so clearly, let's just so that people can understand and grapple with, you didn't have a college degree, but yet you've managed about how many people in the position you're in?
In this most recent position, somewhere around 800 to 900 total.
800 to 900 people. I just have to say that out loud, because I just want, for anyone that's listening right now, to get that in their body. I always want us all to remember that we are all human, And at the end of the day, we are all human and we are all whole as we are. So regardless of if you did or didn't get your college degree, or you did or didn't screw that thing up, to anyone that's listening right now, you can keep going through the adversity and you can keep working through it. And Daniel is here to share that with us. And he is so gracious to give us his time, his energy, and his love. And he's not just doing it on this podcast, he's doing it in his everyday life. I saw that the minute that I met him. He does it in his workouts because I watched him. We were working out together, and he does it with his wife. And you do it in a way that's just so beautiful. And like I said, the energy that you radiate it's no surprise to me that you are who you are and you've gotten where you've gotten. So with that being said, can you give me, because I know I come from a Greek family. So, our families are fairly similar in that cultural experience that we grow up in. I was told, don't go to college, you're cute, you cook, you clean, find a nice husband, and get a bunch of kids out. Well, here I am, the entrepreneur of the family as a single mother. I didn't do everything the way I was supposed to do it, but that's part of this beautiful thing we call our own experience. And so, can you give us something? You brought up your parents, and just as an honor to your parents for creating you and guiding you on your journey, what was some of the best advice that your parents gave you?
My father would always say, when I was young, it's a jungle out there. And when you're a little boy of, like, 5, 6, 7 years old, and your dad is saying you those kinds of things, you're like, what are you talking about? And he would always instill in me, like, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. You have to prepare. And like I said, I wasn't the best student in the world, so there was some disappointment there, obviously. But they both taught me a level of resiliency. Some of that maybe there's just my ethnic background, but I definitely feel like they taught me a level of resiliency that helped guide me through my young adulthood and then into my adulthood and to this point now. If I may, Jamie, I grew up an asthmatic. I grew up not a very good student, didn't graduate from college. So when you look back on my resume, there's no reason I should have been in any of those roles and at operating at that scale. And I think what got me there is just resiliency and not allowing someone else to write a narrative for me. That this is my life. I'm going to write my own narrative. I'm going to go as far as I'm going to be able to go. I'm not going to let somebody else put constraints or restrictions on me.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much. I think it's really important that we continue to remind our listeners and the people in the world that are interacting with us that sometimes it's not all what you see in the, like you said, on the business card, or in these days on someone's social media or on their website, right? Now, talking about adversity and talking about kind of overcoming obstacles right now, what are you just most, because now we're going to shift it a little bit, right? We've gotten into the adversity. Now you've made it to this place where you're day 2 of your retirement, which that is sensational. And I just want to take a moment here to congratulate you, because clearly I know you have worked your tail off for that. What are you most excited about right now?
So much is unknown. For the last 44 years, I woke up every morning and knew exactly what my day was going to be, what challenges I was going to be faced with, who I would be talking to, what I would be doing. And now I find myself that there's a fair amount of unknown, and I feel like that unknown is very exciting.
Wow. And is there anything or anywhere, like any place you're excited to go to, or when it comes to just whatever you're going to be working on that you're most excited about?
I'm just really excited about helping this particular charity, Passion for the Lost, really transform. We struggled significantly during the course of the pandemic, and I think now we have an opportunity to reinvent ourselves and think about what we look like over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So that's exciting. I think maybe finding roles to be able to give back to others, to give back to companies, help other technology executives not make the same mistakes that maybe I made or that I've seen others made. And, how do you give back to the tech community as well? And then we also know that in our local community, we have many challenges, whether it's crime, homelessness, people below the poverty level education. So I think getting much more involved in the local community and hopefully being able to contribute there is also kind of an exciting unknown to me.
Daniel, you are incredible. I feel so blessed and honored to know you. I feel very thankful that you are willing to come on this podcast today. And as we wrap up this interview, is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience on What's the Word?
It's going to happen. Don't hide from it. Embrace it. I think there's that old cliche that we all are better when we allow ourselves to be uncomfortable. Adversity makes us uncomfortable. Embrace it. Get through it. You're going to be a better person on the other side.
Woohoo! I love that so much. Daniel, thank you again for being on here. To everyone listening or watching, I will make sure to drop all of the links so that you can go and be a part of his nonprofit. We can stay connected and let's do what we can to face the adversities in front of us. And Daniel, congratulations on your retirement. I can't wait to see you hopefully soon. Hopefully you'll make it to my event June 12th. And for everyone here on What's the Word, that's a wrap for today. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for joining me here at What's the Word. Follow us on social media with the links on the screen, and don't forget to like and share with your friend. Your support helps us grow and continue to make inspirational content. See you next time on What's the Word.